Yes, Brinda, I think we can get started.
Okay, great. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brindarika Bose from Switzerland, and I'm here today with our author Shinta Simon. And this is a book read and a discussion for our recently published book, She Celebrates, published by Write India. It got published on 8th of March 2020. The book is available in Kindle, and I'll just quickly show you this is how it looks like because at the moment, hard copies are. We don't have the hard copies, but it'll be available soon after the corona crisis is over in Amazon. And we are here to celebrate Easter with you. So happy Easter to all of you. And today's book read is all about Easter. Shinta has written a story which is based on Easter. And this book is a collection of 21 short stories based on different festivals that we celebrate in India, written by 21 women of Indian origin coming from all over the world: India, Switzerland, US, UAE, Singapore, Australia, and so on. So, as I said, the book is available in Kindle. Now, I'll give a brief introduction about Shinta, and then we will move on to the book read. So, Shinta Simon, she was born in Goa. She's a marketing professional, and she came to Switzerland, and she's here for almost a decade now, right, Shinta?
Actually, we've been here for around 6 years.
Okay.
This year feels like a decade, though, Brinda.
Exactly. She is a painter. She's a mother of two young boys, and she's an entrepreneur. So she is one of the co-founders of a very popular website or monthly magazine, Namaste Switzerland, which she co-founded with three other women. And she also has her own food blog, Caramel Tinted Life, right? And I really love watching or going through her posts regularly on Instagram and Facebook whenever she posts some recipe. It's really amazing. So she is someone who dons really many hats. And today during our book read, we will also discuss about her recipe. Now, one of her chief editors, Kamalika, she mentioned or she suggested that why don't we add recipes based on different festivals in this book? So we have 21 different recipes also in this book, not just short stories. And it is Shinta who collected and coordinated all the recipes for this book. So let's have a live show, a book read with her. I'm going to hand over to Shinta very soon. Her story's title is Best Served Cold. It's in our book, page number 67. So over to you, Shinta. Thank you.
Thank you, Brinda, for that very sweet introduction. And very happy Easter to everyone who's celebrating. We thought that hopefully, through this live session, we could perhaps bring you a bit of sort of normalcy, because we live in these very troubled times right now. And this year, Easter, for those who celebrate, will probably look and feel very different. We don't get the chance to meet with our families like we are used to doing every year. So we thought it would be nice to, just come together and read for a while, forget these, uncertain circumstances that we're dealing with right now. So today, as Brinda said, we will take some time to read through the story that I wrote, which, as she mentioned, is one of 21 stories, which are each set against the backdrop of different festivals that are celebrated in India. And my short story is set against the backdrop of Easter in Goa. And like Brinda said, each of us authors has also shared a recipe which holds some sort of significance to the festival that we have chosen. In my case, I have shared a recipe for carrot cake in the book. So why carrot cake? And carrot cake is actually an intrinsic part of all Easter celebrations all over the world. Easter itself is a very symbolic festival because it symbolizes the resurrection of Christ. It also coincides with the onset of springtime. And there is a lot of symbolism in the sense that this signifies renewal and a new life in a sense. So then why carrot cake and why is it linked to Easter? I really don't know for sure, to be very honest, but I have a feeling it has to do with Easter bunnies, which Easter bunnies are like a symbol of fertility. bunnies and carrots go hand in hand, and perhaps that's why carrot cake became a symbol of Easter. This is my understanding, but if you know exactly why carrot cake is linked to Easter, then maybe you could drop us a comment and tell us. So all I can say for sure is that we make carrot cake. My mother makes carrot cake every year for Easter, and I know this for sure. My mom makes the best carrot cake. So yeah, that's one thing that is very linked, very associated with Easter for me. So this is a very special memory, and I've shared the recipe, my mother's recipe for carrot cake, in the book. So yeah, be sure to get your hands on the book, and you will have access to all the recipes that each of us has shared. So
one thing I could add here is Shinta and we are kind of 30 kilometers apart in Switzerland. And our canton is also very famous for carrots. Aargau, Canton Aargau. So
I didn't know that.
Okay. And the reason why carrot cake is very tempting and interesting for all of us here.
So yeah, I learned something new, Brinda, today. So now on to the story itself. Yeah, so the story that's best served cold. A little bit about the protagonist in the story. Her name is Anjali. Anjali is, I imagine her to be a very intelligent, a very vivacious young woman who put aside her career, her goals, her ambitions, and her aspirations to work as a supporting spouse alongside her husband as he decided to embark on his political career. So as his career, as he sort of climbs the career ladder and meets all of his goals and targets, she sort of takes a back seat. But that's not all there is to it. There are some twists and there are some turns in the story, and not everything is as it seems on the surface. So I will read the story, a little bit of the story to you. Hopefully this will give you a nice teaser into the story and make you want to read the entire story. So I think, Brinda, should we start? Should I start?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I have my Kindle with me. The book is available on Amazon as well. So yeah, I have the ebook with me, and I'm reading from the third page of the story. Mm-hmm. Every Sunday after the morning mass, the parish church would hold Bible study classes. Rohan always chose a seat at the back of the class, where he had a vantage point and could stare at the back of Anjali's hair, tied up in its messy braid. She, feigning ignorance, would suddenly shoot him a glare, and he would blush furiously, making her laugh at his discomfiture. As class would end, Rohan would walk to the car, his maid holding his bag and water bottle, and he would watch wistfully as Anjali pedaled away on her bike, waving to her girlfriends. As childhood gave way to teenage years, Rohan and Anjali's infatuation with each other bloomed into a full-blown romance. He, scion of one of the biggest names in the mining industry in Goa, intelligent, hardworking, and brimming with ideas. She, the product of a broken family, witty, charming, and ambitious. Together, they seemed to complement each other perfectly. Unlike many of their friends, who were perpetually trapped in a cycle of breakups and makeups, Anjali and Rohan's relationship held forth. From sneaking away to the beach for some private moments, to studying together for their board exams, they were lovers and best friends, helping each other navigate their ups and downs. The only time they were apart was when Anjali went off to Bangalore to pursue her MBA. Rohan immersed himself in his family business, joining his father at the helm of their family's mining empire. A chance encounter with a family friend who was actively involved in Goan politics led him to realize that his true calling was in the political arena. He joined the Aam Janata Party soon after and made a mark for himself, rising from a party worker to MLA to General Secretary in just a few years. On the other hand, Anjali, fresh out of business school, had just embarked on a sales career when Rohan dropped a proposal of marriage on her lap and slipped a diamond ring on her finger. The proposal wasn't a shock to anyone. It was just the natural course that their relationship was expected to take. The fact that the proposal happened over the D'Souza's annual Easter brunch was only fitting. Easter was not just a regular festival day for the D'Souza's, it was the setting for some of their biggest personal and professional moments. Elton D'Souza, mining baron and Rohan's father, firmly believed that Easter, a day that celebrates the resurrection of Christ, was the perfect day to begin something new. Easter brunch at the D'Souza's was quite the event, attended by their entire clan, biggest clients, and business partners. Fresh flowers and liveried waiters mingled with the guests, and single malts and conversation flowed as deals were formalized and toasts were raised. On the eve of Easter, it was customary for the family to attend midnight mass at the parish church. It was one such night, 6 years ago, that Rohan had proposed to Anjali, just as the entire family gathered at the D'Souza residence, ready to leave for midnight mass. On that night, Anjali remembered, she was also wearing an outfit that was gifted by Rohan. It was before politics had become a part of their lives and crept into their dressing style. Back then, her signature style for formal events with her in-laws was usually a dress or a fitted pantsuit. Now, as the wife of the General Secretary of the AGP, she preferred to dress in handloom or raw silk saris. The press picked up on her fashion sense and began calling her the Priyadarshini Scindia of Goan politics. Anjali wasn't too pleased. She would have preferred to have been compared to Jackie Kennedy instead. Let's leave, darling. We have an hour for the mass to begin, and we don't want to be late, Rohan said, shaking Anjali out of a reverie. She took one quick look at herself in the mirror and smiled to herself. She was ready for Easter. As Easter morning dawned, Anjali woke up at 6 a.m. despite having gone to bed at 2 a.m., long after midnight mass had ended, and much air kissing and handshaking with friends and acquaintances had ensued. The D'Souza's had returned home in the wee hours. Easter morning was always a hub of activity in the house. Brunch preparations were underway, and the caterers were setting up their chafing dishes under a canopy in the garden. Anjali was overseeing the placement of the flowers as her mother-in-law, Gertrude, checked on the wine glasses. As Gertrude examined the goblets for signs of thumbprints, she cast a thoughtful eye on Anjali. Over the years, Gertrude had slowly warmed to her daughter-in-law. At first, when a teenage Rohan had told his mother about his girlfriend, she found it amusing and mildly entertaining to see her son smitten by this girl with the deep, pool-like eyes and untamed hair, and a family that had nothing by way of money or name. But as the two decided to get married, she began to panic a little. The words gold digger were never so much spoken aloud as it was implied among her friends at parties and gatherings. She gave the pair her blessing, but resolved to keep an eye on the girl who had somehow won her son's heart. But to her own surprise, Anjali proved to be quite the perfect match for her son. She gave up her sales career, which would have meant many days on the road. Instead, Anjali chose to remain home and remain Rohan's sounding board and his rock. His political career took off, and she threw herself into the role of devoted wife. She was always encouraging. Her pragmatic guidance helped him steer his political career towards a faster track. She was an excellent networker, and she used her charisma to their combined advantage. Gertrude was impressed. She often felt that Anjali would perhaps have been better at politics than her own son. Rohan was no doubt an astute businessman. However, she always felt it wouldn't hurt him to have been more gifted in the diplomacy department. She recalled an incident 2 years ago when Rohan was a freshly minted MLA in the Panjim constituency. He had committed a faux pas by misquoting one of the greatest freedom fighters in the state's history. The local press lapped it up and it was all over the newspapers for a week. Rohan was naturally disturbed. He had meant nothing wrong, he maintained. Ultimately, word travelled to New Delhi and Rohan received a rather curt message from Mohan Saab asking him to control the damage. That was when Anjali had stepped in and tactfully donated a generous sum of money to the Freedom Fighters Charitable Trust. The trust released a statement in support of Rohan, and that effectively shut the media up. New Delhi was sufficiently appeased, and Rohan came out of the whole tamasha looking like the wronged party. Gertrude smiled, recalling how far they had come since then. Rohan had had a meteoric rise in his career, and now with the Lok Sabha by-election nomination, he stood a good chance at becoming the youngest MP in Goan history. She shrugged her shoulders, smug and proud of the fact that her son had chosen well, both in his personal life and in his career. Soon the guests began to arrive. The Lopos, the Mendonsas, the Nayaks, all dressed in their finest, wielding floral arrangements and vintage wines. AJP President Mohan Brijlal was to come as well, and word had already gotten around that the party was soon going to make an official announcement of Rohan's candidature for the Lok Sabha elections. Rohan couldn't stop beaming. All his closest friends, party colleagues, and family were present, and everyone was effusive in their praise for Rohan. Anjali was resplendent as a hostess. She mingled with the guests and laughed effortlessly, even when Rohan's uncle, rather unoriginally, chuckled at her. Behind every successful man is a woman, but what they don't say is that a smart woman only chooses a successful man. Mohan Saab arrived shortly before lunch was served. As soon as he arrived, a hush travelled down the rows of guests, and everyone looked towards him as if in reverence. The grand old man of the AGP, with his larger-than-life personality, strode in, his personal assistant and bodyguard in tow. He looked around the vast lawn and spotted Anjali and Rohan coming to welcome him. He smiled fondly, assuming the air of a godfather giving his blessing. Mohan Brijlal was confident he had made the right choice. Rohan would infuse the party with some much-needed young blood. The opposition party was always calling out the AJP for their so-called dynastic politics and accusing them of inbreeding. He had come to know both Rahul and Anjali well by now, and he knew that Anjali was gaining popularity, particularly among the female vote bank, as a steadfast, progressive young woman who supported women's and children's causes. The reputation of the wife of the candidate was crucial to this campaign. Mohan Saab decided it was time for a toast. He called for everyone to raise their glasses and cleared his throat. Dear friends, it has been a pleasure knowing the D'Souza family and seeing how Rohan has grown from strength to strength in his years of being with the Aam Janata Party. Just then, he was interrupted by his assistant, who leaned in and whispered in his ear, "Sir, I think you should see this." Mohan Saab was annoyed. What was so important that it couldn't wait till after his speech? He looked at the screen of the phone that his assistant had thrust in front of him. The usually unflappable party president gasped, spilling his wine onto the table. And I'll have to end it at this.
That's a cliffhanger, really. I'm
Exactly.
sure those who were listening to your story, they must be thinking, oh my God, what happened? What did he really see in the Twitter message? Can you guess? Anyone? Anyone who's watching, do you want to write a comment? What did he guess? Or what did he see there in the Twitter message? Okay, we will entertain your comments every time, all the time. But that was a wonderful read, Shinta. Thank you so much for the book read, for reading a story. Anjali's character, Anjali's personality, the way the story developed with her husband. Yeah, you have to read the story. So those who don't have the book yet, please go to your Kindle and download this book right away to read the story. So, Shinta, do you have something to show to us? I'm actually feeling a little bit hungry. I don't know why. And I have to Easter. I'm trying to place them properly. I have to Easter eggs with some eyes. They're trying to look at some possible cake.
I wish I had some cake.
Or maybe something which you have baked.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did bake some zop bread for the first time this morning, and it was part of our brunch. I think I don't think there's anything left now.
Okay, just like the story, it's all about a brunch, and I'm glad that you enjoyed your soft feel for the brunch. So yes, as we mentioned, this is the second book. We also published She Speaks before last year, which is also a collection of short stories. Both of them are available in Amazon and in Kindle. So we hope you're staying safe, you're taking care of yourself, you're staying creative, and reading, writing, and keeping yourself well during this tough time. Shinta, would you like to add something?
Yeah, no, absolutely the same. Yeah, we wish that these are tough times. Many of us have not faced such. I'm sure all of us have never faced such extreme, lockdown circumstances. We're cut off from a lot of people. Let's not look at things with despair. Let's hope that the creative side of us comes out in times like this.
Yeah.
We wish you well, and retain your creativity. Let's hope for the best. We have a message for everyone.
Oh.
It's hard to get this properly.
Hope you guys can see it. Yes, Shinta, I can read yours. Hope you can read mine too.
Yeah. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep reading, guys.
Yes, keep reading, keep posting your comments. You can go to our page, our Facebook page, She Writings by Indian Women. And you can also follow us on Instagram, where you will keep on seeing our updates. We already had a video for Holi. We have Baisakhi coming up soon, Vishu coming up soon. So we have authors from US, Sumona, Jasleen, and Tista from US. We will have their book read and event also very soon. And then Vishu is also next week with Sindhu Sudeep from UAE. So stay tuned to us, even if it is a difficult time. This is the time when you can really stay creative. And as Shinta said, hold on to the creative power and everything that we have. And yeah, stay well. Keep reading.
So I think we can end it now.
Yes, I guess. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. And we will have sessions like this for all the festivals, like Brinda mentioned. We will keep you updated through the Facebook page. So, and keep celebrating.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.